Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk more in details about Replica's Kongor's Undying Rage. And a disclaimer, this is not a build guide video. I do not recommend this build. No way, it was super painful, but I had like 45 exalts, and I knew that a lot of people are interested in the Replica's Kongor's Undying Rage, so I thought I can test it out for you so you don't have to, and see what I can do. And this is basically gonna be me talking about what I tried, what I feel crafted, and how much I regretted doing anything with that. So to begin, I need to take a look at the Kongor's Undying Rage one more time. So it's a very slow weapon, pretty decent critical strike chance, pretty decent base damage, but it's very slow. Hits cannot be evaded, but also critical strikes do no extra damage. But when you crit with this weapon, you get 20% ES regen per second for the next 4 seconds. So I decided to build CI, full CI. By the way, going full CI means you cannot use Righteous Fire. Righteous Fire stops when you reach 1 life, and you always have 1 life. So I decided to go with the Static Strike because I hit once and then I get beams every 0.3 seconds, so basically 3 times per second I get beams. So the first issue that I had is the slow attack speed, and the Static Strike just feels bad. I do have Tribal Fury Anointment, which gives strike skills target 1 additional nearby enemy, because Static Strike is just basically a default attack until you hit something. It's hard to tell when you hit and proc Static Strike, so I thought that Tribal Fury is gonna help, but I think Tribal Fury is bugged right now. If I hit with Tribal Fury, it seems like I'm either missing, because normally I would have very low hit chance. Either I'm missing or it just not proccing Static Strike sometimes, and it just feels very kind of wasted actually. Static Strike in general felt pretty bad to use, but because the weapon has pretty high crit chance and you can scale the build with critical multiplier, I went with the Elemental Overload and full conversion to lighting, so Static Strike converts half, and then the rest of the comes from physical lighting support. Now, when I first started this build, I had no currency, I had no 6-link. Well, I had 6-link body armor, the beast for Shawl. That's very cheap, 6-link, like 15 years, but getting 5 or 4 of course on this body armor is very difficult. So I wanted to get a 6-link Replica Kongor's Undying Rage so I could get a proper 6-link setup. Before I got that, I started mapping with Cyclone, Castle Charring, Shock Nova / Arc. I tried both. It felt absolutely horrible, probably the lowest damage that I ever had. So, but I did not really have a proper spell scaling setup. Yeah, like my cluster jewels were not really perfect for that, and well, I guess you can go low life or use Righteous Fire, so there's not much I could have done for that anyway. I don't think that spell scaling is gonna work because the weapon gives absolutely no damage to your spells, so you're not gonna squeeze out a lot of damage of it. So the next, once I got the currency, I converted into Static Strike and it immediately felt better. After playing for a while and doing a couple changes, no, actually quite a lot of changes, I got the Helmet Enchantment for Static Strike duration because it only lasts 2 seconds, a bit more with quality, but it's very short with such a slow attack. Basically attack once, by the time you finish casting Warcry, you would basically have to attack again to refresh Static Strike duration, so it was very messy, very clunky. I felt like I need more Static Strike duration. So I got Static Strike duration Helmet Enchantment, but later I actually added Shockwave to this Static Strike, which felt much better for the clear speed, but for single target it was still bad. By the way, Shockwave did not scale the Fortify support gem, so I had to buy new cluster jewels, which is also expensive, and I do have explosions from the cluster jewels, Devastator or something like that, and the Overlord, which does give Fortify on melee hit with staff or mace. Then someone suggested me to try Vengeance with the Storm Secret ring. You know how Storm Secret can do damage to you, and if you use Herald of Thunder, which I do use, you can kind of infinitely sustain it, maintain it, and keep triggering Vengeance because you keep doing damage to yourself. Initially I didn't like this idea, but later I guess gave in to, or at least I still had currency, so I wanted to experiment more. Maybe I can figure out something that would be at least half viable. So I bought Storm Secret, by the way, 5 exalts down the drain again. Well, I guess I can resell it. Used Vengeance, even got Vengeance, cooldown, recovery speed, helmet enchantment. I previously had it on the Crown of Inward Eye, which does give quite a lot of ES and some damage. But the Vengeance doesn't seem to be worth it. The Vengeance can do like 400k DPS. Another thing, I also in PUB I also had Intimidating Cry and Val Ancestral Warchief up and all the 4 flasks active. And then the Vengeance would do like 400k DPS, which is still very low. And plus, beams would do around 300k DPS, and then the melee hit would do around 200k DPS. But that's I mean, you can't really get all the things combined because they expire. They also Intimidating Cry expires. You need to recast again. Also had Smite. In the end, that still doesn't work enough. I mean, for clear speed it's kind of alright, but once you start fighting some bigger bosses, it's wow, probably one of the lowest damage builds that I ever did. So other things that I tried Fear crafting, I tried to Fear craft Cyclone and Poison build. Also, I believe tried to Fear craft Cyclone Impale build. Impale looked kind of alrightish. Well, not alright, but not too horrible. It was still pretty bad, but not too horrible. The Poison also kind of was not really. So I don't think that it's really viable. Maybe someone's gonna have like 1000 IQ glow brain shenanigans, but if you wanted to make this viable, you would need at least, I would say, 3 times more damage than what I have right now. Maybe even 5 times if you remove some of the clunky conditional things like Smite and Intimidating Cry. Now I'm gonna quickly go over my items, what I have, and links, and but before that, this is Scion. I started as a Scion Guardian because Guardian gives more regen, and I kind of wanted to maximize the regen, but I later realized that I absolutely have no damage, and I refunded from Guardian into Pathfinder, which does give a bit more smoothness, speed, and flash sustain. So right now it's Scion, Elementalist, Pathfinder. Elementalist is basically to guarantee shocks. When I roll shock chance, I guarantee that I will apply the shock on the enemy because of Elementalist, and I do need that because Replica Winterheart gives me 5% ES regen per second while you are shocked, and I'm shocked because I have Maligaro's Restrain belt, which does reflect shocks back to me. And by the way, this may not be worth even using. You could probably use some different belt and different amulet, and it may perform slightly better, but you're not gonna get like a lot more damage. It's just maybe gonna be slightly bit better. So next I got the beast for Shawl, which does give give quite a bit of AoE, but also a lot of increased energy shield recovery rate, which affects ES leech, ES regen, and ES recharge, but not a faster ES recharge rate, whatever the wording is. This basically multiplies the regen from the weapon and from ES leech. I guess you could do some different body armor, but like, what would you even use to get more damage? There's not many things that you can. Next, Storm Secret for the Herald of Thunder procs. I do have some conversion on my gloves, mostly because I have explosions, and explosions are physical, so I do convert them into elemental, into lighting, which is a bit more damage for clear speed, but it's not really needed. The boots just needed more strength and just more ES. Another ring with conductivity on hit, and yeah, that's pretty much all the items. Now the links. Static Strike, by the way, I do have Phantasmal Static Strike, which increases the quality, increases the beam frequency, but reduces area of effect. And reduced area of effect is absolutely horrible. It feels so bad. You basically have to hug the enemy, and I don't really have much AoE scaling. So Static Strike is currently linked with Inspiration to just give me a slightly bit more crit chance, and it does give quite a lot more elemental damage than elemental damage of attacks. shockwave, physical to lighting, and lighting penetration. Previously, instead of inspiration, I was using fortify, but like I said, I replaced my cluster jewels, so I replaced the fortify with inspiration. Now the vengeance is actually 6 link, but it's not worth using vengeance. I mean, it's still worth using vengeance because if enemies hit you, you proc the vengeance. If it crits, it gives regen. If it doesn't crit, you probably die. So vengeance is currently linked with pulverize, physical to lighting, elemental damage of attacks, energy leech, and increased critical strike chance. Which I do replace with the elemental focus for more damage, but it's really not worth using vengeance. It just doesn't add enough. Then I got discipline, wrath, and herald of thunder linked with enlighten level 3. I got casting damage taken with flame golem and chaos golem and holy relic. Regen wise, you can face tank quite a lot of things, but if you do no damage, you're still gonna die. And lastly, I got anomalous smite with ancestral warchief, increased duration, and well, flame dash. Anomalous smite gives increased skill effect duration, and I wanted to increase smite's skill effect duration as much as possible. So currently it lasts 7 and 7.28 seconds. You use smite, which is clunky and annoying. You get damage buff added, and then you like drop ancestral warchief, Val ancestral warchief, and then you can also use like intimidating cry. By the time you cycle through these things, you're gonna have to attack again and cycle through them again. It's such a mess, so clunky. It's really horrible. Unless you're gonna be using it for the clean speed, but for the clean speed there are so many better builds. Passive 3, not even sure what to talk about the passive 3. I do have supercharge, and I do have storm drinker to get a bit more ES leech, because I do have ES leech from Heart of Thunder, but that's only 0.2%, so it's not really enough. And I did not want to use energy leech support gem because I'm not always leeching, and if you're not always leeching energy shield, then you don't get the most damage out of it. Then on small cluster jewels, I got heraldry, so I can automate exposure. It's just fewer buttons to click. Then I have on the small cluster jewels, I stack the energy from north. That gives me the most energy shield. You get 100 flat energy shield, and I got 4 of them. Another large cluster jewel, I went with the overlord. Like I said, I needed the fortify because it's a bit squishy build. Don't have any endurance charges, which I guess I could have. Yeah, and then CI. You take some of the life nodes and then convert with energy from within. Not sure if that's the best way to do it. I don't really play CI that much. And last 2 levels I was gonna get divine judgment, but that's not gonna save this build. I would need like, I don't know, 5 times more damage to feel like this is worth doing, especially with such clunky playstyle. So anyway, that's the experiment. If you want to know how much currency I wasted, close to 30 exalt, because Kongor's Undying Rage, I spent 5 exalts trying to fuse it, then just gave up and paid for another exalts to get a 6 link. So 9 exalts just on the Kongors. Then I wasted 5 more exalts on Storm Secret, then couple exalts on jewels and getting items, crafting items. And somehow that turned into 30 exalts mistake. I hope I can resell some items because it feels bad getting 44 exalts item and then the same day wasting more than half. Anyway, thank you for watching and I will see you soon. Bye bye.